How many times while having a conversation about the Torah with someone, they respond, "Oh, I keep the 10 Commandments." Do they? Do we? Think about it. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 5 of the Torah portion, Yitro, whose name means abundance. Let's go to Shemot or Exodus chapter number 20. And let's understand something that Yah said to his people. Verse number 8. Remember the Shabbat to set it apart. That sounds straightforward. Sounds very easy to understand. Let's also put this in the context in which it was said. Yah has said to Am Israel, I had demonstrated the strength of my right arm. I have intentionally humbled Mitzrayim and brought them down through a series of plagues and then the disaster at the Red Sea with the intended purpose of liberating you who are covenant descendants from my friend Abraham. Now, Yah had prophesied that all of these events would take place, and to the fulfillment of all that he had promised Abraham, he brought these things to pass. In chapter 19, we have just read how that Yah says to his people, I brought you here on eagle's wings. I brought you here to myself miraculously. I brought you here to be a treasured possession to me, a set-apart people, a royal priesthood. And I want you to set yourself apart because I'm going to come down and a revelation of myself to you, and I'm going to speak to you and encounter you. And you're going to know that it's not just some sorcery of Moshe, no sleight of hand here, no skilled magician tactics and plays on your mind and imagination here. You're going to encounter the reality of who I am. The next day, or next several days, 3 days later, Yah keeps his word. Fire and smoke and thunder and lightning and earthquakes, and the ground is shaking, and the booming, ever-increasing volume of a voice that sounds like a shofar is sounding louder and louder and louder. And in the midst of this incredible, overwhelming spectacle and encounter, Yahweh Elohim, the creator of all things that are, even those things that we do not know exist, he himself begins to utter his voice. And Israel, they realize it's not Moshe. Moshe is a representative of all that we are beholding and experiencing at this moment. And of all the words that Yah could have said, of all of the information that he could have conveyed to Israel at that moment, he chose 10 phrases, 10 ideals, 10 commands that he gives to his people to become we would compare it to the Bill of Rights being a foundation concept for the fullness of the Constitution here in America. These are the founding stones. These are the foundational stones that all of the Torah, all of the prophets, all of the teachings of Yeshua, all of the future understandings of reality, they're all built on this 10-stone foundation, comprised in 2 stones, actually. But in the midst of that, the 4th command mentioned in verse number 8, Yah says, I command you. He doesn't say, I want you, or I wish you would, or I encourage you. I command you, remember the Shabbat and keep it set apart. Now, an easy question would be, well, what Shabbat are we talking about? Many translations, and to a little bit of my disappointment, even the one that I use most often, the Scriptures translation, uses the word Sabbath. And I know it may be splitting hairs here, and I don't intend to go down that trail. But when you say Shabbat, when you say Sabbath, people can argue one way or the other, depending on their vantage point. But when you say Shabbat, there is only one Shabbat. And no matter how you argue it, or what theology you want to profess, or what scriptural investigation you want to go through, Yah is very specific. He gives us the timing of the Shabbat, and I'll turn there really quick. In the book of Bereshit, or Genesis, chapter number 2, verse 1 and 2, thus the heavens and the earth were completed in all their array, and in the seventh day Elohim completed his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all of his work which he had done. And then verse 3, he blessed the seventh day and set it apart, because on it he rested from all his work which Elohim in creating had made. Now, he had looked at other days and said, they are tov, they're good. All the days of the week, they're good, and they're good to be experienced. But there is one that Yah set his brakot on, his blessing, his setting apart, his unique understanding of. If you read a right understanding, he says day 1, day 2, day 3. He doesn't use Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday there. Day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. But on the seventh day, he not only acknowledges that it's the seventh day, but he calls it Shabbat. Now, if you worship on any other day of the week, it's permissible, it's agreeable, it's a good thing to worship. Worship all the time, every day. But there's one day that is unique and different and set apart. And it can only be comprised on the seventh day. The scripture have us to understand that sundown, which begins the seventh day, until the following sundown, which completes that seventh day, is a day that is set apart. Now, in Luke chapter number 15, there is a text that says, in verse 8, or what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp and sweep the house and seek diligently till she finds it, and having found it, she calls friends and neighbors together, saying, rejoice with me, for I have found the coin which I have lost. We cannot mistake the connection between 10 coins and 10 commands. Which command did she lose? It's not an understanding of who Yah is. It's not the idea that murder is a sin, or lying is a sin, or stealing is a sin, or adultery is a sin. We understand these things. The coin, the command that we have lost and lost for generations is Shabbat. And this is not to speak against anyone who is still a Sunday worshiper. I'm not going to go down the path of beating up on them anyone because they worship on Sunday. I personally don't, I'm not a church person now. I keep Shabbat. No matter what day or what you do on Sunday, I'll put it that way, Shabbat is still Shabbat. And may you have a Shabbat filled with shalom and his favor. Keep it, honor it, Enjoy it. Experience it. Step into it. It's not a thing you do. It's something you step into. Shabbat shalom to you. And we look forward to seeing you again next week.